You think staying the same has no cost. But every day you stay exactly where you are, you pay, even if you don't see it yet. The price isn't money, it's time, energy, identity. A lot of people believe that staying the same is a form of safety. They don't change jobs, they don't change habits, they don't change direction, because change feels risky. What almost no one realizes is that staying still is also a decision, and every decision has a cost. The difference is this one doesn't show up on your bank statement. It shows up slowly as internal erosion. You don't feel it all at once. You adapt. And that's where the danger lives. What destroys you isn't chaos. It's repetition without meaning. In a moment, you'll clearly see the silent bill life sends you when you keep choosing not to change. The invisible cost doesn't scream. It whispers. It shows up when you start living on autopilot, when days feel interchangeable, when nothing is exactly wrong, but nothing feels alive. You wake up, you complete tasks, you solve problems, you sleep, and repeat. Without noticing, your life becomes maintenance. You're not building, you're preserving. And preservation over time rots. Notice this? It's not a crisis. It's stagnation disguised as normal. There's a very dangerous kind of life. It's not a chaotic life. It's not a broken life. It's the fine life. You don't hate your job, but you don't feel proud of it either. Your relationship isn't toxic, but it doesn't expand you. Your routine doesn't crush you, but it doesn't move you. So you tell yourself, I can handle this. And you do. For months, for years. Until one day you realize you don't remember the last time you felt genuinely alive. That's the cost. Time doesn't charge interest. It charges identity. Every time you know you need to change something, and you don't, you lose a little respect for yourself. Not consciously, but deeply. You slowly start seeing yourself as someone who talks a lot and acts very little. And that corrodes you. Self-esteem doesn't die from massive failures. It dies from small compromises repeated daily. From every later, every now's not the time, every next year. In a few minutes, you'll recognize the clearest sign that this cost is already being charged in your life. When you choose to stay the same, you're making a trade. You trade growth for predictability, truth for comfort, potential for acceptance. And in the short term, that trade feels reasonable. But long term, it creates resentment. Resentment toward yourself, resentment toward life, resentment toward people who had courage. And resentment is slow poison. Nothing exhausts you more than living below what you know you're capable of. It's not laziness. It's not lack of ability. It's fear. Fear of failing and confirming your doubts. Fear of trying and losing excuses. Fear of changing and no longer blaming circumstances. Because as long as you don't move, you can always say, if I really wanted to, I could. But once you try, there's nowhere left to hide. Staying the same is the most sophisticated way to delay facing yourself. Be honest right now. What do you already know needs to change, but you keep postponing? Where are you surviving when you could be living? If nothing changes in the next 6 months, how will your energy feel? Your clarity? Your self-respect? Because life doesn't pause while you decide. It charges. And now comes the most freeing part. Change has a cost. It hurts. It destabilizes. It demands effort. But that cost is visible, finite. It has a beginning and an end. The cost of staying the same is endless. It follows you daily. It grows quietly. It collects without warning. And one day, it arrives as regret. Maybe the real question isn't, what happens if I change? But instead, what happens if I don't? Because time doesn't forgive wasted potential. If this video made you uncomfortable, good. That's how awareness wakes up. Share this with someone who's a little too comfortable to notice what they're losing. And if you feel like you're paying a high price just to stay the same, subscribe. Here we don't romanticize change, but we also don't ignore the cost of pretending everything's fine. Because living on autopilot is expensive, and you've already paid long enough.